I'd like to go ahead and call this November 15th Livingston County Board meeting to order. And with that, I'd ask for the invocation by Pastor Charles Ambrose.
God bless you. Let's bow our head for prayer. Father, we thank you. Father, your word says in James 1:5 that if any man lack wisdom, let him ask, and you will give it to him liberally. So we ask for your wisdom, Father, for these board members and all decisions to be made. And Father, we ask that we take heed to your direction. Father, your word also says in Matthew 21:22, whatsoever you ask in my name, believing that you will receive it, then you shall have it. So, Father, in Jesus' name, we ask that you will show us your will in these decisions to be made. For your word says that you have given the Holy Spirit to guide us into all truth. For your word is truth, and we thank you for it. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Ambrose. We would ask Kathy Arbogast if you'd all please stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, Christy, if we could have roll call, please.
Vietti. Yes. Bunning.
Present.
Slagle.
Present.
Ingalls.
Present.
Steichen.
Here.
Schaefer.
Here.
Killian.
Present.
Kestner.
Here.
Ritter. Gerwin.
Here.
Lovell. Here. Allen. Here. Arbogast.
Here.
Weller. Ambrose.
Here.
Carly.
Present.
Holt.
Here.
Runyon.
Here.
Mays.
Here.
Heath.
Here.
Weber. Here. Young.
Here.
Yoder.
Here.
Fannin.
Here.
Okay, next is the approval of the agenda. Before we do it, though, I would like to ask for one slight modification, and that's under the appearances. I would like to be able to read a statement that I have about home health care, and then at that time we will ask for any public comments. And there will be no action tonight. There will be no discussion tonight on home health care. It's not on the agenda, and so it won't be taken care of tonight. And so with that change, and we do have a long agenda tonight, so we would like to try to keep things, and an important agenda, we'd like to keep things flowing as smoothly as we can. So with that, I would ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Ingalls and Fannin. Roll call vote, please. Or I guess we can voice that, can't we? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Okay, approval of minutes.
So moved.
Holt and Gerwin. Any questions concerning the minutes? I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Aye.
I'd make a motion to approve them, or to accept them, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. Presentations. We have some resolutions we'd like to read, and the first one is a treasured resolution, and I've asked some people that I think might mean more than me getting up and reading several of them to help me out tonight. And would ask Treasurer Barb Sear to please come forward, and with her son John Sear to come forward. Also, Ginger Harris, please come forward. And so with that, John, it's yours. It should be right.
Resolution number 2018-1148, resolution of appreciation in honor of Barbara Sear. Whereas the citizens of Livingston County, Illinois have sustained a great loss and retirement of Barbara Sear as the treasurer of Livingston County. And whereas Mrs. Sear began her service with Livingston County Highway Department in 1979 and was later elected to the office of treasurer in 2002, where she continued to serve until the end of the month. Mrs. Sear has been courteous and helpful to all individuals with whom she has transacted business and this board, as well as public officials and the citizens of Livingston County. Appreciate the service Mrs. Sear has provided. And whereas it is the intent of the Livingston County Board to publicly honor Barb upon her retirement from Livingston County, to acknowledge her many contributions and public service to the citizens of Livingston County, to say thank you for a job well done, and to extend best wishes to her as she embarks upon a new chapter in life. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Livingston County Board at its November 15, 2018 meeting, that we and each of us do hereby make this public expression of our sincere appreciation of the faithful services rendered by Barbara Sear to the citizens of Livingston County. Be it further resolved that this resolution of appreciation be publicly read in open session of the County Board and spread upon the records of the proceedings of this Board, and that the clerk be directed to present a copy thereof to Mrs. Sear. Passed by roll call vote this 15th day of November 2018.
Those of you who are not aware, on the 5th year, 10th year, 15th year, and so on, the employees receive an award. Well, since Ms. Sear will not hit her 40th anniversary until January of 2019, we would like to present this service award to you for your 39.83 years with the county.
Barb, would you like to say anything?
A little bit, yes.
Okay, you go right ahead.
Stan, I think you were on the highway committee that voted to hire me in the first place back in January of '79. So part of this can be attributed to your vote. At the time, I wondered if I'd made a wise decision because it was a terrible winter, and you wouldn't believe the number of phone calls we got from people wanting to know, what do you mean you won't plow my driveway? But I've enjoyed the job. I've enjoyed working with all the county board, the county employees, the department heads. You've been very supportive and very helpful, and I am going to miss everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Barb.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I would make a motion very happily to approve the resolution.
Okay, I need a second.
Second.
Who's Kathy Arbogast? I hope there's no discussion about that. Okay, and we'll roll call that, please.
Beatty. Yes. Bunning.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
Steichen.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
Kestner. Berwin.
Yes.
Lovell.
Yes.
Allen. Arbogast.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Carly. Yes. Holt.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Heath.
Yes.
Weber. No. Young.
Yes.
Yoder. Yes. Fannin.
Yes. Okay. Next up is another extraordinary milestone, and that's Stan Weber, who has served 42 years, I believe, And think about that, 42 years on the county board, giving service to the people of Livingston County. I have asked Jack Vietti to please present Mr. Weber with his resolution and plaque, since Mr. Vietti just about outranks him.
It's my great pleasure to introduce Stan Weber. This resolution of appreciation is in honor of Stanley R. Weber. Whereas Mr. Weber served as a member of Livingston County Board from 1976 to 2018. And this is my favorite, the whereas. And whereas during his term as a member of the Livingston County Board, Mr. Weber faithfully served on the Administration, Courthouse Renovation Committee, Election, Rules and Legislation, Finance, Highway, Information Technology, Insurance, Bond, Law and Justice Center Building Committee, Personnel, Public Property, Public Safety Complex Building Committee, Sheriff Jail and License, and VAC committees. And whereas Stanley Weber gave unsparing of his time, energy, and knowledge and leadership in fulfilling the duties of the county board member and the chairman of the board. And whereas Mr. Weber has been courteous and helpful to all individuals with whom he has transacted business, and to this board as well as the public officials and citizens of Livingston County appreciate the service of Mr. Weber provided. Now therefore be it resolved by the Livingston County Board at its November 15, 2018 meeting that we and each of us hereby make this public expression of our sincere appreciation and faithful services rendered by Stanley R. Weber to the citizens of Livingston County during his term as a member of this board. Be it further resolved that this resolution of appreciation be publicly read in open session of the county board and spread upon the records of proceedings of this board, and that the clerk be directed to present a copy of this, therefore, to Mr. Weber. Stanley.
Well, let's go ahead and vote on this, and then we'll let Stan talk. Jack, you gave the motion.
I'll make the motion.
And I need a second. Bunning, I'll get you next time. All those in favor, roll call, please.
Vietti. Aye. Bunning.
Yes.
Flagel.
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
Steichen.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
Kestner.
Yes.
Gerwin. Lovell.
Yes.
Allen. Arbogast.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Carly.
Yes.
Holt.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Heath.
Yes.
Mr. Weber.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Yoder. Fannin.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Weber, would you like to say a few comments?
I would like to just give you a few oversights and vignettes of serving on the county board. Perhaps I will start out with one that Judge Casely told me. It seems that Judge Casely had this case before him by a gentleman named Belcher, and his first name was Curly, and Curly Belcher played Santa Claus at this Christmas tree house out here. And Bill said it was the worst day of his life when he found out that Curly had been pandering and he was being sentenced to go to jail on Valentine's Day. Santa Claus sentenced on Valentine's Day. I have another one. I was called up to jury duty, and I happened to sit down beside Doc Williams, vet. Some of you knew him. And first thing I saw was the lady walked in. She'd fallen down in Big Dad's, hurt her back. And about that time, her child ran across the courtroom, and she ran over and scooped him up. before she could hardly walk. So I told the good doctor, said, I don't think I can vote anyway on this. I was excused. So when it came around to leaving, I told Doc Williams, if you get off, come out to the Elks Club. I'll buy you lunch. So I arrived at the Elks Club, and there he is like a bird in the nest. I said, what in the world? How did you get off? And he said, well, the woman had a bad back, and the judge asked me if my practice in animal husbandry would help in such a case. He said, yes, Judge. I've seen a lot of bitches with bad backs. Another little vignette. I can remember we were working on the courthouse, and we found some bullet holes in it, 3 bullet holes. And no one could understand where they'd come from. It's a bit out front. But I knew where they came from. Sheriff Fry was having a problem, and the water in the soffit was full, and he took his 45 and drained the water out. All in all, my time on the board has been spent. I'm primarily interested in mechanical things. If you were to start at Weston Road and go by the highway office, you'd find a plaque on the wall there where Stanley Weber was one of the builders. If you were to come around to the H&E building, you would find that the roof and the enclosure on the H&E building, as well as the sump pumps and things, were installed. It seems then that future's unlimited with another project I worked with. It's just a sort of thing that sometimes you have to go where your need is, and my specialty was making things work. So I've enjoyed it. I could tell you that I could probably sit here and brag all evening, but I'm not going to. I'll just say it was a wonderful life, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Stan. Is John Gimbel still here? Mr. Gimbel, it wouldn't be complete.
I worked with Stan Weber for 12 years, and the man knew the county government from top to bottom. I don't have any particular anecdote that I can tell about him, but he was like a lot of people that I worked with there, were far more educated than me, and he was more analytical and looking to solve the problems than I ever was. Of course, I was more sledgehammer mechanic instead of a machinist, see, so that made a difference. Stan was a very good man to work with, and we became pretty good friends, and had a lot of enjoyable sessions together. I want to thank you for your service.
Thank you, John. Okay, the next honoree is Mr. Marty Fannin, and Kathy Arbogast will please do the honors for that.
Okay. So it is with great honor for me to be able to read this. To you, Marty. Sorry. Resolution of appreciation in honor of Marty Fannin. Whereas Mr. Fannin served as a member of the Livingston County Board from 2008 to 2018, and whereas Mr. Fannin served as chairman of the Livingston County Board from 2012 to 2016. And whereas during his term as a member of the Livingston County Board, Mr. Fannin faithfully served on the administrative, ag and zoning, elections, finance, IT, personnel, sheriff, jail, and license committees. And whereas during Mr. Fannin's term, Livingston County initiated and completed numerous projects that have and will continue to improve the quality of life for the citizens of Livingston County. And whereas Mr. Fannin has been courteous and helpful to all individuals with whom he has transacted business and this board, as well as the public officials and the citizens of Livingston County. Appreciate the service he provided as County Board Chairman. Now therefore be it resolved by the Livingston County Board at its November 15th, 2018 meeting that we and each of us do hereby make this public expression of our sincere appreciation of the faithful services rendered by Marty to the citizens of Livingston County during his term as a member of this board. Be it further resolved that this resolution of appreciation be publicly read in open session of the county board and spread upon the records of the proceedings of this board, and that the clerk be directed to present a copy thereof to Mr. Fannin.
Mr. Fannin, the microphone is yours.
I'll keep it short and sweet. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be with this board, to serve this board, and to serve the citizens of Livingston County. I will miss it, and I'll miss a lot of you guys, so keep on going.
Oh, yeah, we need Kathy Arbogast made a motion to approve that resolution. And do we have a second for that? Vicki Allen? All those in favor, roll call vote, please.
Beatty? Yes. Bunning?
Yes.
Slagle?
Yes.
Ingalls?
Yes.
Steichen?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Killian?
Yes.
Kestner?
Yes.
Ritter?
Yes.
Gerwin? Lovell?
Yes.
Allen? Arbogast?
Yes.
Ambrose?
Yes.
Carly? Holt?
Yes.
Runyon?
Yes.
Mays?
Yes.
Heath?
Yes.
Weber? Young?
Yes.
Yoder? Fannin?
Sure.
Okay, the next one
620.
for a resolution is Mr. David Heath, and I have asked Steve Lovell to please come up and read the resolution in honor of David.
Resolution of appreciation in honor of David Heath. Whereas Mr. Heath served as a member of the Livingston County Board from 2004 to 2012, and then again from 2014 to 2018. And whereas during his term as a member of the Livingston County Board, Mr. Heath faithfully served on the administrative, finance, information, technology, insurance, nursing home, personnel, sheriff, jail and license, and veterans committees. Whereas Mr. Heath has been courteous and helpful to all individuals with whom he has transacted business and this board, as well as the public officials and citizens of Livingston County, appreciate the service Mr. Heath provided. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Livingston County Board at its November 15th, 2018 meeting that we and each of us do hereby make this public expression of our sincere appreciation of the faithful service rendered by David Heath to the citizens of Livingston County during his term as member on this board. Be it resolved that this resolution of appreciation be publicly read in open session of the county board and spread upon the records of the proceedings of this board, and that the clerk be directed to present a copy thereof to Mr. Heath. Passed by roll call vote on the 15th day of November 2018.
Okay, Mr. Lovell made the motion for the resolution. Do I have a second? Mr. Kestner. Roll call vote, please. Then Dave, you'll talk.
Vieti. Bunning.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
Steichen.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
Kestner.
Yes.
Ritter.
Yes.
Gerwin. Lovell.
Yes.
Allen. Arbogast.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Carly.
Yes.
Holt.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Heath.
Yes.
Weber. Young.
Yes.
Yoder. Fannin.
Yes.
Okay, Dave, do you have anything you'd like to tell us? Your last chance to really let us have it.
I think I'll pass.
Okay, the next one is Mr. Darrell Holt. And the one thing about Darrell, he's been on here for, I think, 12 years. And he was also mayor of Dwight for 12 years. And then I think served on the town council for 8 years. So Darrell's had an awful lot of community service in his lifetime, and for that we appreciate it. And I've asked Jason Bunning to please honor us by reading Darrell's resolution.
Mr. Chairman, is it okay if I just say ditto and we kind of speed things along?
No, not for Darrell.
Resolution of appreciation in honor of Darrell N. Holt. Whereas Mr. Holt served as a member of the Livingston County Board from 2006 to 2018, and whereas during his term as a member of the Livingston County Board, Mr. Holt faithfully served on the administrative, ag, zoning, and emergency services, information technology, highway, nursing home, personnel, public property, and sheriff, jail, and license committees. And whereas Mr. Holt has been courteous and helpful to all individuals to whom he has transacted business and this board, as well as the public officials and the citizens of Livingston County, appreciate the service Mr. Holt provided. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Livingston County Board and at its November 15, 2018 meeting, that we and each of us do hereby make this public expression of our sincere appreciation of the faithful services rendered by Darrell N. Holt to the citizens of Livingston County during his term as a member of this board. And be it further resolved that this resolution of appreciation be publicly read in open session of the county board and spread upon the records of the proceedings of this board, and that the clerk be directed to present a copy thereof to Mr. Holt. Passed by roll call vote this 15th day of November 2018. I proudly move the motion forward.
Is there a second? Mr. Killian. Roll call vote, please.
Vieti. Bunning.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
Steichen.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
Kestner.
Yes.
Ritter.
Yes.
Gerwin.
Yes.
Lovell.
Yes.
Allen. Arbogast.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Carly.
Yes.
Holt.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Heath.
Yes.
Weber. Young.
Yes.
Yoder. Fannin.
Yes.
Mr. Holt, the podium is yours.
Thank you. I'm going to miss many of you. It's been very interesting on the county board. It's altogether different than the village board in that we deal with things throughout the county, places I didn't know even existed. So it's very interesting.
and I thank you for working with me on various committees. So, thank you very much.
This particular board meeting is always a tough one. It's a bittersweet moment. We're saying goodbye to some people that all of us have learned to have a great working relationship and get to know. But also, it's a time to look forward to the new board members who will be coming on and working with them. We can never replace people that leave, but we can certainly work with new people in the same situation. So we're going to miss each and every one of you. Each and every one of you was very unique to the makeup of the board for the citizens of Livingston County. Your service will never be forgotten. And with that, I think we're on a real roll. I hope it can continue all night. I don't think we had one nay vote in the last 5 or 6 votes. So if we can kind of keep that up tonight, we'll get out of here in pretty quick order.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to apologize for my tardiness tonight. School ran a little bit long, and unfortunately, it took me a little bit longer. So my apologies to the full board.
Well, they call that having to stay after school, Paul. I know from where you're talking.
Usually detentions and demerits go hand in hand in those things, and I hope that I'll get better in that category. Thank you.
Mr. Ingalls will now introduce the gentleman from Farnsworth. And ladies, I'm sorry.
You did good. Most of you know we have been in the process of defining a building to replace the H&E building. And with us tonight are 3 people that have been involved in the process. Neil Finland, most of you know Neil, he's a principal with Farnsworth. As well, Dave Bernenson, principal with Farnsworth, who did much of the preliminary work on this project, so he's been here before. And Megan Roller, who's a project architect with Farnsworth, who did a lot of the detail work on the building. They're here tonight to present the last phase that we approved, which is a schematic design, which is kind of a preliminary for us laymen. It's a conceptual design of what things will look like, and then we'll move on to consideration of the next step, which is the development, excuse me, the design development proposal. So as soon as they're able to get pictures in front of you, they'll go through a presentation that was approved by the property committee earlier this week, and we'll go from there. So with that.
It'll be good here in just a second. There we go. Nice.
Oops. Seen that before.
Well, appreciate the opportunity to come back and follow up on our presentation in this developing project. Fairly brief presentation to give you the highlights of what we've accomplished in the schematic design and speak a little bit of what's next to come. So why don't we, just as a little bit of a reminder of what we've done in the schematic design phase, the process involved more user group meetings to confirm the floor plan layout, square footage of the proposed design. That worked out very well to make sure that the program's actually accommodated. And one of the issues of particular concern was adequate storage space being addressed, which has been accomplished. As we go in the planning of this building, retaining the ability for it to be a flexible building that could accommodate future unexpected uses down the road, it remains a main driver. At this point, what you'll see is we've further developed the concept into specific materials, systems, more detailed than what you had seen before. One of those was talking about a little more specific selection of what mechanical system would be utilized in a building like this, with the focus being on easy operation, reasonable energy efficiency, and easy to use is kind of the primary directions on those. The process last time was asked to include looking at an estimate of operating costs, and in the process of doing this, we've identified there's 5 steps for that. 2 of those small steps at the beginning were part of this schematic design phase, the other 3 are following. So we'll have an update on that. The biggest, I think, focus for everybody was looking at the cost opinion, developing that, and then being able to make sure that things are on track. So I'll give a quick recap of that as we go. Our deliverable outside of this presentation includes drawings, schematic design drawings, and an outline spec narrative, which are hard copies that Alina has, if you want to see those at some point. So I just wanted to give a little reminder. This is the diagram I put through that shows the planning and design process. We're just completing step 3 right now, which is schematic design. And then you can see 4, 5, and 6, design development, construction documents, bidding, and then construction itself are still to follow. At this point, what we've done is we've got good thoughts on the costs. We've got sort of more clarity on the schedule, and we have a solid concept that's been kind of vetted with the user group. So it's basically setting up the basis, make sure the project is properly identified, targeted for further development. So just as a little bit of a reminder, this is the concept of the site. The building's positioned so that the entrance is north, oriented towards north, towards Torrance Avenue. The building has been sited so that the existing building can remain operational during construction of the new building for obvious reasons. The concept, the parking and building placement works to allow the IHR building to remain intact and support its actual continued use. The concept includes an ability to provide some needed space for that building as a separate project to make up for space they're currently leasing that would be removed once the existing building is taken down. And then the concept is developed to preserve further development opportunities to the north in the space between the new building and Torrance Avenue. The layout probably looks similar to what I showed you back in May of this year. The layout has changed a lot subtly with the room by room, just the fine details as Megan and Samantha have worked with the different parts to really refine exactly how the flow in each room would work, the adjacencies, lots of little refinements, but you'd have to really get into it tight to see. Essentially, though, it's the same program. We're still accommodating the program. We still have separate entrances under single point of control, one of those being a discrete entrance for family planning, and dealing with full ADA compliance, safety, and energy efficiency, all those things. The last bullet point up there was just my point about the flexible building. We're actually using a structural steel system to allow the building to have complete flexibility in the future. You can take any wall down if you needed to, if the use is needed to change. The square footage has been proven out at 19,200 square feet. I presented 19,000 last time. Essentially, it's the same thing. We could steer it and refine it if we need to, but that's, to me, that's good news because it shows that things are on track. Megan put this model together. It's, when we do these drawings, we do them as a 3D. It's not just a floor plan. So it kind of gives you a chance to feel a little bit more like what the spaces look like, as if you were looking at a cardboard model or something with the roof taken off.
it's kind of interesting. One of the things you'll notice in the center, as we talked about earlier, was we do have a hardened space that's a safe room, for a storm event. It's not a FEMA-grade storm shelter, but it's built out of reinforced concrete block with FlexiCore precast concrete slabs on top. We are starting the idea of some specific images. I don't know, Megan, if you want to speak to it a little bit.
Absolutely. So one of the things that we found to be a really cost-effective solution for a building like this is to alternate between different colors and textures of fiber cement board. We use brick where we need to for durability at the base, which really improves the longevity of the building, especially with landscaping operations around it. And then we use 3 different colors and a few different textures to break the building up, but again, in a way that does not cost an arm and a leg. So then we can move to the next one. You can see that we've created a clear entry at the front and breaking the roof line up as it goes around so it doesn't get too tall. Again, just ways to manage the cost so that your building is covered and watertight without spending an arm and a leg. This is that secondary entry you can see right here for family planning. And again, you can see it, you can get to it, and there's views from reception to this door so it can be controlled, but it's not as obvious. It's a little bit more discreet for people that do not want to be seen coming into the building. We've also used these modified eyebrow dormers. It's a way to break the roof up. Each one of those maybe adds $2,000 to the overall cost of the project. Breaks the roof up without breaking your bank, so.
So part of the idea is you want a building that is four-sided. It doesn't have a back like an alley side. It has a consistent look all around, but the little key features like at the entrance to make natural wayfinding easy to identify. It's just kind of some common sense type. It was one of the little features you notice there is a small canopy over the door. It's a prefabricated, Mapes is the name of the company that we usually would specify for that.
So the biggest idea was finding a way to give you a building that is professional looking without being too expensive, and also recognizing that it's surrounded by a residential area, so making it fit in to the context.
So the next subject, this slide here illustrates a mechanical concept. The idea of system selection is called a VRF system. It's a variable refrigerant flow heat pump system, and it allows us to have many different zones that are easy to control and an affordable system. This drawing, if you noticed all the different areas that are slightly different colored, those represents areas that could have separate zone control. It's important on different exposures of the building. Some get hotter, some get colder, depending on how they get hit by the sun. Sometimes it's just the difference of people, and you know, one person thinks it's cold and someone else thinks it's hot, so giving some ability to that. If you notice, we have the plan kind of zoned out where the center cores are mostly support spaces of storage or meeting rooms or different kinds of file rooms, that kind of thing. So, you know, they have a different exposure load than the window areas on the exterior wall. There's today's energy code has a lot to do with air, fresh air. That part of the system is handled by a roof-mounted dedicated outdoor air unit, and it provides all the ventilation and carbon monoxide control, all that sort of thing that makes for a modern system.
And we mounted that over the hardened space so that we get more sound deadening properties, so it's not going to be too noisy for the area below.
One of the things about a system like this, simple to operate and control, you can simultaneously have heating and cooling, so it's not like some central plant where you have to, you know, switch from cooling to heat, you know, heating mode. Next. So just a couple of points about cost opinions. At this point in the process, design is still preliminary, but it is based on some actual recommended systems and selections of materials. As we develop these budgets and these projections, and then we continue to develop the design, the cost opinion is a work in progress, and it needs to be maintained and evolve as the design continues to evolve. One of the things that's important to note too, construction costs, and you've seen this before, but construction cost is one thing, project cost is something else. So keeping track of not just what the building costs, but the site and permitting and all the furniture, things like that is part of keeping the big picture of what a project cost would be. We've got allowances for project cost adjustments in the cost opinion. Some of those are pretty tight, and some of those take further work to vet them out completely. So this presentation here is formatted to match and align with the one that we presented back in May. The first part was a section on this existing building removal, and it really haven't changed it from the previous presentation. It includes removal of building, allowance for the asbestos abatement, things like that. The second section, IHR, if you notice, costs are projected out to the side because we wanted to identify them for consideration, but they're not really part of the scope of the project, is that there is a need, or it's sort of an open-ended issue about replacing the space that's lost once you remove the existing building. Under the new building and site development, so I mentioned that our square footage is 19,200 square feet versus 19,000 even before. I was using an allowance of $225 a square foot previously. After going through the estimate, it looks like the allowance is actually more like 213. So that's kind of brought that down some. That's by deciding things like what kind of mechanical system you're going to use and the building materials, where before we were just making allowances for any number of possibilities. Site construction and utilities is more further developed. It includes some things we didn't really have addressed before, such as patching back the parcels to the north of the existing building that was kind of off to the side before. And a lot of different allowances are still the same as previously presented. There's a few new ones listed on here, such as some site permitting, utility packets, so what was the other one?
Interior design services.
Interior design services, and also the operating cost estimate was something that wasn't on last time because it followed with a request from the meeting. So all that, when you look at the bottom, add these together, the projected costs are very similar to what we had presented back in May. The next couple of slides, just kind of a recap of schedule and where we're at right now. So it starts in November and it goes through. If it was appropriate to continue with the development of this project, and I kind of look at what makes sense in schedule planning, I think natural milestones of like constructible weather seasons make sense. So I projected here a somewhat reasonable process. It could be expedited if it had been important to do that. But we're showing that if you took like the end of the month and decided you wanted to proceed to the next step of design development, we would get that done by mid-January. A little bit of a pause to approve, make sure everything's still correctly pointed, and then you do construction documents. We like to suggest that maybe we do them to a 50% complete, and then you'd take another time out, make sure everything's really on track. So I projected a couple weeks for that, and then completing those. All that being said, you could complete the design by mid-April. You go out to bid, get your permitting all done, and then basically ready to start building at the end of May. That usually jives pretty well with the winter and the summer starting. If each year is a little different, sometimes springs are great, sometimes they're not. So there's a lot of flexibility in that, but this is something that makes sense. If you followed this path and you started building in the summer, we project that 6 months, essentially be ready to occupy the building at the end of 2019. you could think about moving in, then it would be time after that, then the time comes to decide to take down the old building. So it's not really totally finished until you do that part, because you need to do that before you can finish all your site work. This slide here has too many words to go through it all, so I just had cut and pasted them in from our engineer that did the operating cost steps. So the step one was to get our data into Energy Star. Step two was to develop a conceptual model. So what it is, it's kind of setting up with everything that we know about to be able to look at what we would expect the usage for electricity, gas, and just the thermal performance of the building and that kind of thing. You can't really finish that. The reason why it's so many steps is you have to have more detailed design, accomplish specific things to enter in to do that analysis. So each phase we go, there'd be another step to that. So it's part of the process. This last slide is just a little bit of a touching on what's next. The design development step is next, and the idea, as the name suggests, it's to take the design from where we're at right now, which is still preliminary, to being much more detailed and ready to be, so all the design decisions are made. You know, after we get done with design development, the focus then switches towards making a buildable and biddable set of documents, much more technical. In theory, we would have made all the design decisions needed by that point. As we go, we have to get a lot more detailed on furniture, fixtures, and equipment, on the low voltage IT. That's going to be a lot of workshopping with the county's staff, the facilities people, talking about HVAC systems, all that stuff. We want to spend a lot of time really drilling down and make sure all those kind of details are as taken care of as they need to be, down to if there's certain products that you stock and want to use, you know, that thing. So that all sets it up for an excellent end result. I think, is that the last? I think that pretty much a quick pass through the presentation. I'm happy to elaborate on any of that. And if you want to see any more details about the building design, Megan has the Revit model here on the computer. We could show you whatever.
Well, before board members have questions, just a couple of comments. Number one, at the committee meeting, we had discussion because of, obviously, some of the space in the existing building that will be lost is utilized by HR. And I talked to Joe Vaughn, their director, after the meeting, and told him I was more than willing to work with him, his board, and one thing and another on options that might be available. And so we will be doing that. The other thing, if you look at the cost breakdown, a couple of things, there's some optional things in there, things that we could do ourselves, things like interior design, or maybe do part of it as we have traditionally. Also, there was in excess of $700,000 for demo of the existing building, and I think we know from experience that that may be high. Hopefully it would be. So all that said, the other point I'd like to make is I think Farnsworth did an exceptionally good job of understanding some of the things that we laid before them. Number one, we wanted a building that was professional looking, in their words, but not opulent. We wanted to fit the character of the neighborhood, wanted to keep costs down wherever we could, and they've done a good job of that. Don Verdon, our maintenance supervisor, was at the committee meeting, and he asked some very specific questions based on what I guess you could call shortcomings in terms of maintenance and accessibility to certain things that we've experienced in other buildings, and they have a plan to not have those kind of problems. So with that, if any of the board members, before I make a motion to move forward, have questions.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
I have two specific questions. I find it very convenient that you had all these slides in there and they kind of corresponded with our supplemental package, except the one important page, and that was of all the costs and how much it was going to cost us for demolition and also building the new building. Why was that not included in this packet?
Sorry, what?
These were the action items for tonight, and I knew that they were bringing the presentation. We have a copy of that. I'd be happy to email it to you. It's
I'd like
just the
a hard copy,
PowerPoint
if you don't
presentation.
mind.
I had the full version. I thought we were doing a condensed version today, but it's not a problem. I'd be happy to send it to you. I
My
believe the costs, though, are part of the schematic design report, are they not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I guess I'm not.
They're not in this packet.
The cost estimate is a part of the
Not,
schematic narrative.
not in the printed packet.
The total cost of the building plus demolition of the old building and the other related costs, including the
The
costs.
schematic report was not part of this printed packet.
These, right.
Like
the
I said, I
supplemental
just-
packet was all of the things that got sent after the packet was initially distributed, because there were so many things that came out this week.
Right.
I felt it important to make copies of those.
That's
even
fine.
though- Yes.
Like I said, I just thought it was convenient that was omitted. The one very important piece that should have been in there. The second question I have is, you talk about a low slope roof, 412. We're having state-of-the-art, HVAC system, brick on the outside, state-of-the-art windows, and yet you're using a shingled roof on a 412 pitch? Why not a metal roof?
Metal roofs are about twice as expensive, so that becomes a problem, but
Twice as
also-
expensive, what versus what? 50,000 versus 100,000?
I'd have to look at the square footage, but I'd be happy to get that information to you. That's an easy swap for us to make is if we move into DD.
You know, one thing about something like that, that's not a bad candidate to carry as a bid additive item.
That's a very good point.
So that you can get actual pricing at the end of the day and then, decide what actual bid prices from contractors, if that's a value that's worth it or not.
Well, for example, I know a 412 pitch is not going to last that long, depending on what color you use.
So architectural grade shingles, there's different grades of shingles. They have a 30-year warranty.
I've shingled for 60 years.
Okay, sorry,
I know about
I was
shingles.
unaware of that. We were using the architectural grade, and 412 is one of the slopes that is recommended by the manufacturer, so they would still honor their warranty.
Well, that's pretty much a judgment call of someday replacement cost versus the initial
But that
cost.
could be, among other things, alternates.
Oh, yeah, that's an easy
It could
one.
be an alternate, and it's something that's incredibly easy for us to switch in the next stage.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Elaine?
Ritter?
Go ahead. Just an interesting question. We're building a building and I see we have high efficiency HVAC and all those things. Can you give me or us kind of an idea of the percent efficiency of that building? And I understand we're not shooting for a LEED certified building or anything like that. I get that. But what I'm trying to get at and understand is, how efficient is it going to be? So I see these levels and it says an estimated EUI. I read that part, but I don't understand in comparison, 35 KBTUs annually, is that what we're expecting and the national average is 53 KBTUs? I guess I'm confused there, and that's what I'm asking for the
Sort of
clarification on.
translate that into regular-
Right, because that's something I don't fully comprehend on that.
I'm not sure I could answer it exactly the way you want right now, but we could follow on that because, like you say, you have to understand what all those terms are. But just the basic response, though, with today's energy code, it requires a performance level that is pretty high performing. It's almost like you're doing a LEED building, but they've mainstreamed a lot of the LEED performance on the mechanical side into the energy code requirements. So I don't know the exact number to tell you, but I know it'll be fairly high performing. And I.
Is that something that we will eventually know?
Yes.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
This is the percent efficiency of this building, here's your number.
Right.
Yes.
Well, that's a lot of the extra detail we're talking about, the next step. One of the, along with the design, the next step is the analysis on the operating cost model, which is all, it's building that energy model is about analyzing the efficiency of all those systems. So.
Yeah. One of the things discussed in the property committee meeting was also to go through and compare it to the current energy costs to be able to give you those numbers, and I think that we could do that as a part of the next step.
Right, compare the current versus the projected.
Exactly,
That's what
yes.
I was wondering about too.
Yeah.
I saw what was the 11 grand, the projected electrical bill a month?
A year.
Yeah.
I just wondered what it was today. Do you have any handle on that, Elena?
No, not right
Okay.
offhand, no.
Well, what's the square foot of the building we're demolishing?
I think it's 34 or something like that, maybe.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, those comparisons are a little tricky because.
Well, it's an odd duck deal, I know.
But we will have the numbers ready for the next time.
Oh.
Much better idea.
Along with that, Mr. Chairman. So, once we get to that point where we have those numbers, then we'll be able to make some added decisions, if I'm understanding, in the sense that if we're a percent efficiency down the road, then are there products out there that would increase that efficiency to where
Right.
we get our buyback on going the extra, by savings down the
Right,
road?
say, if you added more insulation, could it result in a? Yeah, that's part of the next.
Yeah.
Mark? Yeah, I just wanted to ask Melinda, because she's back there, since it's going to be her and her people that's going to be working in this building. Do you have any concerns or questions, or does this meet your needs? Any comments you would like to make, I guess is what I'm throwing out here.
Yes, I've been in on all the user group meetings, and they've taken suggestions I've made, and we make it very workable for our staff, but I've definitely been involved in the process. And I'm
John?
Thank you. So what are we being asked tonight here? Are we voting on moving forward with this building as laid out? I'm not quite clear.
Yes, my intent would be, we've completed, I forget the number, step 3, the schematic design. The next step outlined in the process is what they refer to as design development, which is basically finalizing a design and able to provide construction documents for bidding. So unless there's other questions, I would make a motion that we authorize Farnsworth to proceed with the design development, the next, step 4, it's in front of you, I'm sorry. Give me a second.
Okay, so you're talking F, you're making a motion for the presentation of the schematic design report. Is that what you're doing?
Design is done, it's to move
Yeah, but
forward.
we
with design-
have to have a voice vote on that.
On design development.
Yes, on the schematic design. And then we'll go into design development, and we'll have a roll call vote. So the motion needs to be for the schematic design report, which was just given.
Okay, I would then withdraw my former motion and make a motion to accept the schematic design report.
Okay, the report we just heard. Is there a second to that? That's Mr. Kester. Discussion. Mr. Slagle.
Is there a way we could sort of put this in front of the public, get it in the paper and on the website, pictures of it, and all these documents that we got? Sort of, like this is where we've first seen sort of the pictures of the building. Get it out there, put it in front of the public, and get some feedback on it?
Well, John, that's why we had an election. You're supposed to represent those people, and you've got more information on this than we could possibly present to all the voters out there that you're representing, and that all of us are across this county. So you've been elected by them to make those decisions. Tonight, We're asking to make a decision just to accept what's already been done and was just presented to you. There's been a motion and a second on that. And we will have a voice vote on that. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
No.
Roll call vote, please.
I think it passed, but we'll roll call it.
We've already paid for this?
Pardon?
We've already paid for this that's being presented, we've already paid. So the approval does it do anything? Or-
Is this the next phase, and it's gonna be another $71,000 for this phase, for this contract? Is that, there's a $71,000 cost summary?
For the next phase.
That's for this next phase that you would do, so it's an additional contract. We had one contract for about 50,000, and now this is the next contract for 71,000.
Right, we're just doing it
Yeah.
part at a time.
Roll call, let's go.
Was there a call for roll call vote?
Yes.
Yes, roll call.
Beatty,
Yes.
Bunning,
Yes.
Slagle,
No.
Ingalls,
Yes.
Steichen,
No.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Killian,
Yes.
Kestner,
Yes.
Ritter,
Yes.
Gerwin. Lovell,
Yes.
Allen. Arbogast,
Yes.
Ambrose,
No.
Carly,
Yes.
Holt,
Yes.
Runyon,
Yes.
Mays,
No.
Heath,
Yes.
Weber, Young,
Yes.
Yoder. No. Fannin.
Yes.
Seventeen ayes and 6 nays.
Okay, now do you have anything on the design development proposal? Or,
What's the estimate cost? 71,000.
Well, we need to,
71,000.
I would make the motion that we authorize Farnsworth to engage the next step, which on the chart they showed you is design development.
is there a second to Mike's motion? Mr. Heath, discussion on that. Okay, we'll roll call vote. Mr. Yoder has,
Ms. Gerwin asked, so this vote here authorizes us to pay them $71,000. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
Yes, $71,150. I mean, all of these costs have been through
Thank you.
in front of us several times, but yes, that's the design development cost.
Are we ready?
John,
Yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't make the meeting Monday. I should have been there. But, so I do have questions about like the, because basically the next step here would be agreeing to everything in here, sort of like the type of heating system, right? Like, this is the time things like that would change? Or at Monday or Tuesday's meeting is when it would
Could
change?
change. I mean, we're asking them to refine what was defined in the schematic.
Right, I think the basic purpose of approval of schematic is just to establish it as the point we should continue developing from. But I don't think that necessarily has to mean that every piece that inside there is certainly not beyond being able to be further discussed and evaluated.
anyone else? Okay, we had a motion and a second on that.
Roll call.
Okay, we need roll call then, please.
Okay. Beatty?
Yes.
Bunning?
Yes.
Slagle?
No?
Ingalls?
Yes,
Steichen?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Killian?
Yes.
Kestner?
Yes.
Ritter?
Yes.
Gerwin?
No?
Lovell?
Yes.
Allen? Arbogast.
Yes.
Ambrose.
No.
Carly.
Yes.
Holt.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Mays.
No.
Heath.
Yes.
Weber. Young.
Yes.
Yoder.
No.
Fannin.
Yes.
Okay,
18 ayes and 5 nays on that one.
okay. Anything else? That wraps us up, doesn't it?
Thank you.
Yep,
Dave,
thank you.
Megan, Neil, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving right along. We're down to 4, or 3 appearances. And with that, I have a statement that I said I would like to read. I'm sure that there are a number of you in attendance tonight regarding the results of the referendum. As board members, we hear time and time again that the taxes in our community are too high, that we must cut back, reduce costs. Yet once again, our community has expressed overwhelming support to take care of our elderly. The approval of the referendum to support a senior citizen social services tax will ensure that a home health care program will continue within Livingston County. However, there is still a lot of work that needs to be done. As mentioned, when the board approved placing the question on the ballot, the maximum levy will only generate a portion of what is needed to run the current program. The program needs to be examined. Income and asset criteria must be established to ensure that those that need the program the most can obtain the services that are most needed. Once again, our board will rely on the experience of Melinda Hillman and the Board of Health to assist the county in presenting a program that meets those needs. The county board's role will be to determine the amount of funding available to support the program going forward and how to access those funds. While we are still in the review process, it is our understanding that an additional referendum may be necessary in order to increase the certified rate and allow the additional tax to be levied under PTEL. Again, what must be done is not yet 100% certain, but we are committed to thoroughly working through this process. I mean, right now we're at the point where we cannot do anything this year. The budget is done, and we won't be able to get it into the budget until next year. And if that would happen, the earliest it can be funded is starting in December of 2019 into the 2020 year. With that, should suffice to take care of any comments from the board resulting on home health care tonight. But I do welcome and want to open this opportunity to anyone who would care to speak on that subject to please come forward now and have their say. So the microphone is open for those who wish.
I'm Joan Lipinski. I have some things that I disagree with in just that statement, but I would like to at least ask you to put this question on the agenda in an open meeting so that you can have more public input. You did have people that voted. You did have your own referendum. If you were not prepared to figure out what you were doing with your referendum, which it seems like you weren't, because there's a 20-day less amount of time for having a hearing, which should be held. You could have been doing all of these things. This board did not appear to be prepared with any contingency plans for any of this. And now you're saying that people have to wait a year. The advisory was only advisory. That was just to let you know, because we've been told over and over again that citizens don't want to pay taxes to take care of other citizens. The program itself could have been adapted and changed. It's sunsetting at the end of this month. There are going to be people that lose their jobs. There are going to be people that are losing services. The board set up their own referendum anticipating, or should have been anticipating, that you could levy a tax, so you could have prepared for that. You also set up your referendum to care for only senior home health care. The program that exists until the end of this month is for more than seniors and for more than home health care regular regulations are. These people are allowed to participate a little more in the community, but they need some assistance. We've talked about that before. We've asked before for restructuring. You also have not voted on your budget. That comes tonight, at least that's what I was told. So there would be time to alter that, except that you don't want to consider a special meeting or tabling that or doing a continued meeting, it seems. I'm making some statements that are pretty strong because I understand that the chairman said at the beginning, you will not answer questions. We're not allowed to ask them, and there's not going to be any discussion of this topic, which is also extremely frustrating. But I would say, please consider at least addressing this issue and see if there is any way that we can secure this program sooner than 1 year. It feels right now like, as news headlines have it, that you are in delay, denial, and default on this so that we don't have to, the public isn't included in your determinations. I'm sorry, this is very upsetting because we've been corresponding with several board members and we've been getting different information from all of them about what the taxes are, about what they mean. You know, I want all of you to at least understand what it is and how this works and what the votes are for. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Joseph Charles Kerner, local Gonzo citizen journalist. I'll skew any fancy intro in favor of brevity. Concerning the community health care program, electoral win, Carol Gerwin says voters don't know what they were voting on. Yes, we did, Ms. Gerwin. Funding of a social program isn't hard to understand. You don't have to be a lawyer to comprehend that something involving people and bureaucracy requires money to fuel it. Plus, that $81 an hour figure you give for the program is pure horse hockey. No wonder you evade my online request for clarification on how you derived it. Joe Steichen has said only 52% of the voters voted, so 48% of the people didn't have a voice. So you can't say the referendum really passed by 84%. First of all, it's 56%. And sorry, Mr. Steichen, those that vote get to decide whether it is 100% or 1% of the eligible voting population. There is no threshold percentage that magically confers legitimacy. Your argument is pure sophistry, arbitrarily applied to this one single result you don't like. I know it hurts you Republicans to know that any political voice other than your own is having influence on county matters, and that it is something you instinctively try to suppress, as you have successfully done many times before. You feel entitled to absolute power. Us plebes matter not. Sorry yet again, but the people have spoken here without ambiguity. They want this program. For those who say cuts are necessary, I say this. This very county board gave $1.6 million to Caterpillar for jobs that were already coming here. Another $5 million is covertly in the works if those jobs stay here for 5 years. For that amount, you could fund the home health care program for 2 decades. Socialism doesn't seem like a dirty word to you when it goes to the rich, does it? If we have money for corporate welfare, then we have money to help our elders stay in their homes for a while longer. If not, our moral priorities are messed up and this governing body is a sham. But then, this wouldn't be the first time that's true, would it? In 2003, 58% of the voters said they wanted to keep the Livingston Manor nursing home. The county board at the time ignored that and got rid of it anyway. The community health care program was the consolation prize. Now you are looking to get rid of that through political acrobatics if necessary, even though a much higher percentage has voted for it and even supported a tax levy to go with it. That latter fact represents a failed strategy to block the people's will, revealing the disdain you feel for us. Your arrogance is astounding, even for the Brahmin class of the Livingston County area. You might want to consider keeping up the illusion of democracy for us, because your tyranny is showing. You can do that by keeping the community health care program and funding it. Thank you.
Good evening. I'll be very short and sweet. I came to hear what you had to say about the home health. I agree with Joni Lipinski in every word she said. I've been following this. I'm not going to keep you here any longer. I'm not going to repeat what the gentleman just said. He had some good points. Please, please listen. You knew these were on the ballot. You put one on yourselves. You should have planned to have the meetings to make it a go if it passed, both of these programs. Please listen to the citizens. I'm a registered nurse practitioner, retired. People need home health. People want to age in place. I'm sure you've all heard that statement, age in place. You're probably going to want to age in place someday too, not have to go to a nursing home. So please listen to us, take it into consideration, strong consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else wish to speak? Do we have one coming? No. Okay, we're going to move on then to the consent agenda. Can I have a motion? Mr. Fannin, a second for that. Mr. Holt. Okay, we'll roll call that, please, Christie.
Beatty. Bunning.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
Dyson.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
Kestner.
Yes.
Ritter.
Yes.
Gerwin.
Yes.
Lovell.
Yes.
Allen. Arbogast.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Carly. Yes. Holt.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Heath.
Yes.
Weber. Young.
Yes.
Yoder. Yes. Fannin.
Yes.
Okay, now we're heading down to the action item committee report. And first up, and the last time he's going to be first up, is Mr. Darrell Holt, Chairman of the Ag and Zoning Committee. Mr. Holt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First thing on our agenda is the proposal and work agreement from Deegan Associates, our environmental consultants regarding the landfill and other projects that we've involved them in. They presented a two-page proposal listing their employees and their rate of pay. My involvement with them is to they attend meetings that we have with the landfill and get updates on what's going on, and he kind of oversees the kind of eyes and ears at the landfill to see that they are meeting environmental restrictions. Chuck?
The agreement is similar to past years since we use their services. I think on average they're averaging raising their rates about $5 an hour. Mr. Deegan and Mr. Schilling, the two primary people, their rates are raising $5 an hour, some are remaining the same, and then the bottom administrative person is a $7 an hour raise, I believe. So.
I will make a motion that we approve their proposal.
Killian, second. Any discussion? Okay, we'll roll call vote that, please.
Getty. Bunning.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
Steichen.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
Kestner.
Yes.
Ritter.
Yes.
Gerwin. Lovell.
Yes.
Allen. Arbogast.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Carly. Holt.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Heath.
Yes.
Weber. Young.
Yes.
Yoder. Fannin.
Yes. We have to roll call each of these individually, so we'll be doing all of them by a roll call vote. So go ahead, Charles.
Okay, the next item is SF 618, a Bounds subdivision. It's regarding a farm where they want to split it into two different lots. And it's been before the Planning Commission and the ZBA. What it amounts to is there's a 158-foot setback is a requirement, and they're asking for a 60-foot setback between lots 1 and 2. And the ZBA has approved this and recommends it to the Ag Committee. Ag Committee had approved it. Chuck, you have anything further?
Just, if you have any questions, it's the family wants to separate the farmhouse off the farm. They farm the surrounding property. They want to maintain the farm buildings so they can use the farm buildings. They'll maintain the existing drive with an easement to use it, so the property, as it looks, won't change, other than they'll put new property lines in it to make it work that way. Questions? Yes, Kim.
So there was no opposition at the hearing?
There was no opposition to the hearing on this, no.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make that motion.
Well, usually the chairman makes it, but
Could I second his motion?
you can second it
Go
then.
ahead, because
Okay,
Paul's been chomping at the bit here.
discussion, roll call, please.
Getty. Bunning.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
That's right.
Ingalls. Steichen.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
Kestner.
Yes.
Ritter. Yes. Gerwin.
Yes.
Lovell.
Yes.
Allen. Arbogast.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Carly. Holt.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Heath.
Yes.
Weber.
I think he stepped out.
Young.
Yes.
Yoder. Fannin.
Yes. Okay,
The next items is Vermillion 1 and 2. It's SU 918 and SU 1018. Vermillion 1 and 2 solar farms. We'll go with number 1 first. They're both located south of Pontiac, next to the prison, the Warden property. And they both have been through the Planning Commission and the ZBA and the Ag Committee. Well, I would make a motion that we approve zoning case SU 918, Vermillion 1 Solar Farm.
Ritter,
Just a point of clarification.
okay.
Also, with those two, correct me if I'm wrong, depending on how the permits are filled, either one of those can be swapped for the other one, is that
That was their
correct?
request. They requested if one of them gets approved, say 2 gets approved, they
And
could switch it with number 1.
Yeah,
Also, I know Carolyn asked about if there's anyone there that opposition. There wasn't. There was a question asked by a property owner to the north, and the lady that lives in the warden's house asked for more information and was given that information at the meeting, at the ag meeting,
Okay, so,
the zoning meeting, sorry.
so we do have a motion made on Vermillion 1 Solar Farm. I need a second. Bunning,
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a quick question?
you may.
Check on, I'll just ask for all 5 of these. What are the sizes of these? Are these similar to what we've approved in previous months, or are these bigger, or?
They are all similar in size. They're all 2 megawatts. It's part of the state program as to what they're looking at. That's why you have Vermillion 1 and Vermillion 2. They're actually right next to each other. But in order for them to qualify for the lottery in regards to this, they're making it 2 projects. So everything you're looking at tonight are 2 megawatts. They're in a different size a little bit, their configuration a little bit, but they have different equipments and they can use and stuff like that. But they're all 2 megawatts, basically the same size, same thing.
So all
Mark,
approximately?
Mark, this is 20 acres on a 157-acre parcel. The reason they wanted to allow the 1 and 2 switching is to not disrupt the whole farm by sticking 2 in the middle of it, or so they wanted to be able to put it on the area of land that is not going to disrupt the whole 157 acres.
Carolyn?
So are all of these roughly 20-acre?
Yes.
Some of them are less, but they're all on, the broader piece of the property is 20 or larger, but the actual development could be as low as 12 acres, depending on some of the space they're confined on and everything else.
I think they figure a megawatt at 6 to 7 acres, do they not?
I think it differs on how it's engineered inside and how it's placed, so.
How many acres total are we up to? If we were to approve all these tonight, how many acres of
About
land are we?
roughly a quarter section, we're probably about 160 acres. About a quarter section.
Also with that though, at our meeting that we had, there are, correct me if I'm wrong, under 200 permits that are going to be filed throughout the state, and they figured that 1 in 3 or 1 in 4, somewhere in that neighborhood would be fulfilled. So even if we have 8 of them on the books, the likelihood of all 8 of them being filled is not going to happen. It's the 1 in 4 scenario. Is that correct?
I think it was 154 slots available.
I've heard different figures from 100, well, it goes up to 180, some to 200, so we'll just say that.
Okay.
But we'll say roughly 600, maybe could be more. All of these sites are represented by their professionals. They probably know more about it than I, but they're going to have a lot more applications for the lottery as they are going to have sites, and it could be 3 to 1. So, yeah.
And so do they get another shot? Like, is there going to be another lottery down the road? And
There'll be one in the future, but I think everybody's kind of waiting to see how the state determines how the future of the lottery will operate and how it'll work. But yes, there'll be future lotteries.
So eventually, all of these could get built if they do enough lotteries.
It is a possibility. I mean, there's a lot of scenarios out there, and I don't think everybody's sure what they are at this point.
Hey Chuck,
Yes.
if they don't get approval, if they're not in the lottery, do they have to come back to the county board to resubmit, or do they just go straight back to the state next year?
They have to come, well, for them to go to the state, it has to have local government approval, so they're going to have local government approval on it, so.
So they would have to come back.
Yes.
This approval wouldn't be everlasting.
You mean, from the lottery, if these, yeah, no.
If we approve
they,
it-
They don't know that.
I guess what I'm asking, if we approve it tonight, and then the state doesn't draw them on the lottery,
Yeah,
and they
I
don't
think
get
it's-
it, then to resubmit to the state,
I
do
think
they have to come back to us, or can they just resubmit
I could
straight
be
to the
wrong,
state?
but I think that's to be determined. I don't think that's been settled quite yet, so.
Okay. Okay, we got to move.
Following up on that, though, I think the question is, how long are these good for? How long can they wait before they have to start?
All of these have a condition in it that they come back and report to the zoning board of appeals 1 year from the approval. So that's kind of a status report to say, okay, did you get approved or not, or where you're at with the process, so. And then they can continue to add out.
Okay.
Okay, we got a motion and a second on Vermillion 1 solar farm. So can we go ahead and roll call that?
Beatty? Bunning?
Yes.
Slagle?
Yes.
Ingalls?
Yeah.
Steichen?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Killian?
Yes.
Kestner?
Yes.
Ritter?
Yes.
Gerwin? Lovell?
Yes.
Allen?
Wake everybody up.
Arbogast?
Yes.
Ambrose?
No.
Carly? Holt?
Yes.
Runyon?
Yes.
Mays?
No.
Heath?
Yes.
Weber? Young?
Yes.
Yoder? Bannon?
Yes.
Okay, Vermillion 2 then.
Remaining 2 is another 20 acres on the same 157-acre parcel. This too has went through ZBA, planning, ag, and has been approved by all 3. As was mentioned, if 2 gets approved, they would like to place that 2 in one spot so that it doesn't disrupt 157 acres.
Okay, we need,
Motion that we approve Vermillion Solar 2.
Holt made the motion, is there a second? Lovell. Any discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Vieti. Bunning.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
Ingalls. Steichen.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
Kestner. Ritter.
Yes.
Gerwin. Lovell.
Yes.
Allen. Arbogast.
Yes.
Ambrose.
No.
Carly. Holt.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Mays.
No.
Heath.
Yes.
Weber. Young.
Yes.
Yoder. And Fannin.
Yes.
Okay, moving on.
The next one is SU 1118 DG Illinois Solar. Janet is here. If you have any questions, she is did the presentation to our Ag Committee and to the ZBA. So, Chuck, if you want to add anything.
Just that this is a little bit similar to the last one, other than it's packaged together into one application. It's actually two adjoining sites. They still want to have the flexibility in regards to this. This one had a little bit of a unique situation on it in that they're looking at the possibility is an option to possibly use some batteries on this particular site so that they could store the excess power generated during the day, put in the batteries, and that could be put into the system during the night. But that's kind of a business economic engineering study they have to do in the future. It may or may not be done, but they put that possibility as a scenario. They may use that on this particular site, so that's a little bit different for this site.
I believe these panels also basically follow the sun.
All of these do, yes.
All of them do? Okay.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
Yes, I'll make that motion. SU 1118 DG Illinois Solar.
Okay, a motion to approve, is there a second to that?
Did you? That's questions.
No, we'll ask, Bunning, is there a question on that?
John, did you have a question, Yoder?
Fell asleep.
Okay, with that then, we'll take a roll call vote.
Vieti. Bunning.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
Ingalls. Steichen.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
Kestner. Ritter.
Yes.
Gerwin.
Yes.
Lovell.
Yes.
Allen. Arbogast.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Ambrose?
Ambrose.
No.
Carly. Holt.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Mays.
No.
Heath.
Yes.
Weber. Young.
Yes.
Yoder. Fannin.
Yes.
Okay, we're getting to the one we wanted.
Oh, we did? Okay. Okay. Zoning case SU 518, Borrego Weller Solar Farm. This farm is located on a parcel of 74.6 acres. The fenced area is 11.8. It's a single-axis tracking system, which was approved by the Planning Commission, the ZBA, and the Ag Committee. And is located, we decided, west of Dwight on Route 17.
Between Route 170 and Dwight on Route 17, yes.
And they have agreed to put up a
Living
evergreen
screen.
barrier along 17 so that it's not as offensive to people going by, assuming it is offensive. But I'll make a motion that we approve SU 518, Borrego Weller Solar Farm.
Okay, motion by Holt, seconded by Killian. Any questions?
This is the one that we did have a comment. The gentleman who owns and farms the property to the south of this property did come to the public hearing and just expressed his thoughts that the property should remain in agricultural land, and that's basically all he said, so.
Okay.
But it wasn't his land, right?
Okay, with that then, we'll take a roll call vote.
It's his farm to the south of it, but
That's not his land.
that's not.
Vieti. Bunning.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
Ingalls. Yes. Steichen.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
Kestner.
Yes.
Ritter.
Yes.
Gerwin.
Yes.
Lovell.
Yes.
Allen. Arbogast.
Yes.
Ambrose.
No.
Carly. Holt.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Mays.
No.
Heath.
Yes.
Weber. Young.
Yes.
Yoder. Fannin.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. The next one is zoning case SU 1218, Borrego Beckman Solar Farm. This is located over south of Streeter by the landfill, and it's on a, I'll find it here somewhere, Chuck. How big is the acreage? Oh, parcel is 26.7 acres, and the fenced area will be plus or minus 10 acres. And it too is a single action tracking system. Anything else? There was no one there to disagree with this. It's by the landfill and by a barrel pit.
It's on the same property where they finished, when the Streeter Brick was operating, they're taking the clay out of this for their operations. So this is the remaining farmland property that was been row cropped since then. So it's kind of the remaining part of that property that they're developing this on, so.
I'll make a motion that we approve zoning case SU 1218, Borrego Beckman Solar Farm.
Make a comment on that if I could.
Wait a minute.
Wait till we get a second.
Can we get a second?
I'll make the second.
Okay, Pat's going to second it.
Okay.
Yeah, people have to understand where this property is. They call it tillable. Well, it is. You can farm it, but it is not very good property at all. That's where they've taken the clay out for years. It's just, the better use for it is a solar farm because it's not really worth farming, but my opinion.
Well, and you're right, Pat, the soil and water, when they made a report, it was very low on the quality of farm ground. What number they used, but it ranked very low.
Okay, is there another Ritter?
Yeah, I know that we discussed this in committee meeting, and we talked about the fencing. On all of these, my question is, we're putting in an 8-foot fence as a result of the zoning board of appeals and what they wanted to do. Is that a situation that is solid as far as we go forward? The reason why I asked the question again, and I know I asked this question in committee, but I'm not really sure that I understand the answer in the sense that if we can put a habitat fence in that allows that area to be utilized by wildlife within the borders of Livingston County, is that something that can be done, or is that a done deal that they've decided it's an 8-foot fence?
Okay, it's kind of a two-part question. So the first part of it, as far as the 8-foot fence is concerned, is that when we originally created the regulations for solar farms, the 8-foot fence was part of regulations that I found that other counties were using, and I inserted that. And then the conversation came up with National Electric Codes requiring a 7-foot fence, or so that discussion came up. So that's a zoning ordinance issue that could possibly be part of a text amendment. And we're kind of in the process of actually having that on the books, but since we're doing everything else, it's kind of coming up next year probably to kind of finish the discussion. So that's on the books as far as that goes. The second part of it in regards to wildlife versus chain link fence, it's not specific as to the type of fence. Other than that, the zoning board wanted to be consistent with what type of fence that they were requesting. So they made a request once the discussion came up as far as wildlife versus chain link fence. In their opinion, they want to be consistent and have a chain link fence to do that. So that's also an option to be part of the text amendment also. That's also a possibility to be discussed, okay?
I think part of their discussion was around what's the term secure mean? And they felt a chain link was more secure than the other fence.
Okay, with that, we had a motion and a second. We'll go ahead and roll call that.
We needed a second on that.
Oh, we need one?
Paul did? Oh, okay.
Paul did.
Pat did, yeah.
Or Pat did. Somebody did.
Okay, now we'll roll call
Bietti. Bunning.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
it.
Ingalls.
Get a question,
Yes.
Carolyn.
Heisler.
Carolyn.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
Sorry.
Kestner.
Yes.
Ritter.
Yes.
Gerwin.
No.
Lovell.
Yes.
Allen. Arbogast. Ambrose.
Yes.
Carly. Holt.
Yes.
Runyon,
Yes.
Mays,
No.
Heath,
Yes.
Weber, Young.
Yes.
Yoder. Fannin.
Yes.
Before we go any further, Carolyn had her hand up. She had a comment, and I don't know if it's too late. I did not mean not to see her, so I apologize to her. And Carolyn.
Thank you. I have a point of order. It's a parliamentary issue, I guess. I would, if I could, I would like to change my vote on number F to no, and my vote on number G to yes. And the reason is because the land is worse for G, but I didn't know that when I voted on F. And it's just my policy that I don't approve of multiple applications by the same company.
Well, I don't know. What do we do here?
I don't know, it's never been
I've never
happened before.
heard.
We'll
of-
make a note of it.
Is-
And we'll look.
Can we get back to it? Then we get an opinion. Okay. Hey, does anybody have any tremendous objection? We take a 5 to 8 minute break? Okay, we're at a break. Joe? Okay, well, we're just gonna take a break. Oh. We will now go to our finance director, Mr. Schaefer.
Everybody back? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First on tonight's docket is the annual approval, if you're so inclined, of the state's attorney's appellate prosecutor. What this is to the charge of the county of $15,000, which that rate, Alina, has stayed the same for quite a number of years, my recollection. What this is, if our state's attorney runs into a situation where there's, most common thing would be a conflict of interest or other matters that come up, we get help for the total charge, no additional charges, of $15,000 from the state's attorney, or from the Illinois State Attorney General's office. So, that being said, I'd motion that be approved.
Okay, is there a second to that? We got one from Mrs. Gerwin. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please. And these are all going to be roll call, so roll call vote.
10 more roll calls is all you have. Vietti. Yes. Bunning.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
Steichen.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
Kestner. Ritter.
Yes.
Gerwin.
Yes.
Lovell.
Yes.
Allen. Yes. Arbogast.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Harley.
Yes.
Holt.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Heath.
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Stan? Young.
Yes.
Yoder. Yes. Fannin.
Yes.
Thank you. Barb, one last appearance. A curtain call for Barb.
What you have, make it quick, okay. What you have in your packet are 3 resolutions to allow us to transfer ownership of 3 empty pieces of property. 2 are in the country, 1 is in the city limits of Fairbury. The county as trustee for, the county trustee as agent for Livingston County has taken deed to the property. We sold the property at sealed bid auction. And so I would like your approval, please, to transfer the ownership of the property to the successful bidders.
I would so move. Second by Mike, thank you.
Any questions?
Can we do these all together, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Vietti. Bunning.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
Steichen.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
Kestner. Ritter.
Yes.
Gerwin.
Yes.
Lovell.
Yes.
Allen. Yes. Arbogast.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Carly. Yes. Holt.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Hayes.
Yes.
Heath.
Yes.
Weber. Young.
Yes.
Yoder. Yes. Fannin.
Yes.
Thank you.
Barb, one last thing. When you may not know, when Barb came into office, she inherited a challenging situation from an individual who had stayed perhaps a bit too long. She never threw that individual under the bus. She did her job, and her successor will not be in the same boat, and she should be very proud of that, and I'm sure she is.
Thank you.
Okay. Diane, you want to talk about year-end transfers?
The resolution is to transfer some money from budget lines that have some money to budget lines that do not. That's the bottom line.
Right, and about $382,000 worth?
It's $419,000.
A new estimate, that's good, I was close, yes, that's good.
That's something.
Most of which has to do with overtime.
Yes, I can tell you, it's, most of that is from the jail for overtime. It amounts to about $360,000. But there were other things too. There's overtime,
sure.
there's some meals, there's some medical, the medical contract changed, so that changed as well.
Changes that you guys engineered, we should do better than that this next year, so.
Right.
Yep, cool.
The coroner is getting some money for autopsies. The sheriff's department, I did put some extra money in. There was some discrepancies in the salaries when they were put in for this year to begin with, that didn't quite match up with where they should have been. So, just in case,
Good.
something that, does anybody have any questions about that? Or about what's moving?
Okay, I'd motion those transferred be made.
Okay, Bunning second.
Second.
Discussion, Bunning, discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Vieti. Bunning.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
Steichen.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
Kestner.
Yes.
Ritter.
Yes.
Gerwin.
Yes.
Lovell.
Yes.
Allen. Arbogast.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Carly. Holt.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Heath.
Yes.
Weber. Young.
Yes.
Yoder. Fannin.
Yes.
Diane, thank you. Thanks for all your work this year. Next, start the series of levies. The first would be the 377708, known as the Mental Health Fund Levy and Developmentally Disabled Person Fund Levy. There's two separate boards that administer that in the county along with the department. They do a nice job and been really fiscally responsible, and so I'd motion that their levy for next year be approved.
Vieti second. Discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Vieti. Bunning.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
Steichen.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
Kestner.
Yes.
Ritter.
Yes.
Gerwin.
Yes.
Lovell.
Yes.
Allen. Yes. Arbogast.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Carly. Yes. Holt.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Heath.
Yes.
Weber. Young.
Yes.
Yoder. Fannin.
Yes.
Okay. The CELCAS, Southeast Livingston County Ambulance Service Fund, has since its inception, had its own levy, and I'd motion that that be approved.
Who's the second? Yoder? Roll call vote, please.
Vieti. Bunning.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
Steichen.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
Kestner.
Okay, and the last is the general fund.
Ritter.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Gerwin.
Yes.
Lovell.
Yes.
Allen. Arbogast.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Carly. Holt.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Heath.
Yes.
Weber. Young.
Yes.
Yoder.
I'm glad you said that, John, because the general fund levies are next. And those are all a function of the budget process that we've gone through for the better part of 4.5 months. And after that is a resolution for how to spend that money. So, in order, the levies for 2018 for the general fund, I'd motion those be approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Fannin.
Point of order, hold on.
Mr. Chairman, these actually include all the levies, so
Okay.
Social
Oh, okay,
Security,
okay.
tort, everything is rolled up into this one resolution. so.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Having said that, I would motion they be approved.
And we still got a second by Fannin. Discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Vieti. Bunning.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
Steichen.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
Kestner. Ritter.
Yes.
Gerwin.
Yes.
Lovell.
Yes.
Allen. Arbogast.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Carly.
Yes.
Holt.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Heath.
Yes.
Weber. Young.
Yes.
Yoder. Fannin.
Yes.
And the complement to that levy, the adoption of the annual appropriations, I'd motion that be approved.
Second to that. Ingalls. Discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Vieti. Bunning.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
Ingalls. Steichen.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
Kestner.
Yes.
Ritter.
Yes.
Gerwin. Lovell.
Yes.
Allen. Arbogast.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Carly.
Yes.
Holt.
Yes.
Runyon.
No.
Mays.
No.
Heath.
Yes.
Weber. Young.
Yes.
Yoder. Yes. Fannin.
Yes.
Thank you one and all. Thank you, Stanley. And that's it.
Okay, moving quickly along to Mr. Bunning, Chairman of the Highway Committee. Mr. Bunning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've got 2 action items to bring forth to the board tonight. If it's all the same to you guys and there's no opposition, we will throw them together in the same motion. First, we've got a bridge petition for Broughton Road District. They are replacing 2 84-inch culverts within about a half a mile, quarter mile of each other. It's 2 crossroad culverts that they're putting in on the same mile.
Yep.
Any questions on A? Moving on to B, that is the appropriating MFT funds for the 2019 county engineer's salary. If there are no questions, I will move it.
Okay.
Second.
Carly had his hand up. Who'd I miss? Oh,
Kathy.
Kathy, I apologize, but, okay, do we have to voice, roll call that?
It's money, I would think so.
I would too. But you're putting them together, aren't you?
I'm putting them together, yes, as one motion.
Okay, so we've got both of them with one roll call vote.
I guess we pulled Clay up here if there's any questions.
Okay, Vieti. Bunning.
Yes.
Flagel.
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
Steichen.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
Kestner. Ritter.
Yes.
Gerwin.
Yes.
Lovell.
Yes.
Allen. Yes. Arbogast.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Carly. Yes. Holt.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Heath.
Yes.
Weber. Young.
Yes.
Yoder. Yes. Fannin.
Yes. Okay.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman, and let the record show we were the quickest committee to get through stuff.
Okay, well, you won't, I think there'll be one that beats you before you're done. I think your record will be short-lived. Sheriff Jail License, Mr. Kestner.
We have 142 total inmates in the Livingston County Jail. And total income last month from all sources for housing and mileage and reimbursement, $188,180. The committee approved 3 raffle licenses, one for VFW Post 9789, one for Pontiac Chamber of Commerce, and one for the American Cancer Society. We also passed an indigent burial policy, which you have in your packets. So we now have a policy on board. And we also approved allowing the coroner's office to designate certain vehicles to utilize emergency lights when going to a call. And I would like to make a motion on that, designating coroner's law enforcement vehicles and the indigent burial policy.
Who seconded it? Yoder? Are you putting them together?
Yes, sir. If that's all right.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Election Rules and Legislative
Thank you,
Committee, Mr. Fannin, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have one action item coming before the committee tonight. Last month, the Standing Rules Amendment went out to the full board to peruse, and we're bringing it back tonight to vote on. I would go ahead and make a motion to approve the changes to the standing rules.
And was that Carly? Yes. Okay, and Carly second. Any discussion? Okay, with this will,
I had one question.
okay, Mr. Kestner.
One question, Marty, as chair of that committee. In the future, with these committee structures reorganized, like Veterans Report is a liaison to a certain committee.
Mm-hmm.
Do all those who are appointed to that committee meet then with the big committee or permanent committee
Yeah, the liaisons would meet with the administrative committee.
on the same night?
Yes.
And take care of things? All right, thank you.
Ready for roll call then?
I'm ready for roll call.
All righty. Vieti. Yes. Bunning.
No.
Slagle.
Yes.
Ingalls. Dyson,
No.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Killian,
No.
Kestner,
No.
Ritter,
Yes.
Gerwin,
No.
Lovell,
No.
Allen, Arbogast,
Vote how you want.
No. Ambrose,
Yes.
Carly. Holt,
Yes.
Runyon,
No.
Mays,
No.
Heath,
No.
Weber. Is it no? Okay. Young,
Yes.
Yoder, Bannon,
Yes.
9 ayes and 14 nays. It was
Okay.
defeated.
Point of order, who made the motion on that, Christie?
I did.
Bannon,
Who seconded it?
Carly.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving on to public property, or Marty, I'm sorry.
I'm done. That's good. Thank you.
Okay, Public Property Committee, Mr. Ingles, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One action item, excuse me. I think everybody's aware, we went out and asked for RFPs on what's generally called, excuse me, an investment grade audit. Bottom line is, we had one proposal from SmartWatt. They will come in and look at all of our buildings and make recommendations on projects that will ultimately provide energy savings. There's no real upfront cost, and any fees that they would generate for themselves would be out of any savings that we might have. And the committee did approve that, and I would make the motion that the chairman be authorized to enter into that agreement.
Is there a second? Bunning. Discussion? Roll call vote.
No.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Yoder or Gerwin? Gerwin, ladies first. Carolyn?
All right. Sorry, this comes at the end of a long meeting. So I have a family member who is in the energy business, and I ran this past him, and he had a number of comments that I would like to quickly share with you. One is that if no further work needs to be done after this, as in that second contract that is mentioned in here, if we can walk away after we have the audit, he thinks $12,500 is a good price. However, if we are obligated to go beyond that, it may not be a good price because the second contract could be where the problem lies. There are tricky elements of defining savings in these contracts, and so that would need to be looked at very carefully in the second contract. There should be no element where the other party has control over our source of energy, so they shouldn't be able to buy, to broker our energy contracts. If they get involved with the supply contract, that's where they'll make money off us. Make sure the energy procurement is completely separate. So confirm that you can walk away. And I noticed that in the section that's on the term, it says it will continue until the owner and SmartWatt successfully negotiate and enter into an energy savings, guaranteed energy savings contract. And that seems very open-ended, and it seems to assume that we are going to do that. So that would be, I would object to that. That language should say it ends when they provide us, it can end upon our option to walk away at that point. If we are able to afford to pay for it ourselves, we should not enter into any financing. In that case, the only advantage of moving forward with them is that they are the general contractor, and you shouldn't pay more than a general contractor would get. he would like to see a sample of the next contract to see what kind of deliverable they actually give you. Or what kind of, both the deliverable, what is the report gonna look like, and also, if you were to move on with them, what would that next contract look like? He questioned whether we had the people on board to do this ourselves. Then you don't pay for, you keep all your savings, you aren't giving it away to anybody. So also question whether we are paying twice, because if the $12,500 is rolled into the next contract, are we going to pay for, are we going to be paying for the audit, and then on top of that, giving back a lot of our savings? So let's see. Do they get credit for savings for things like changing settings on thermostats? Because that's basically not providing the same as we have now. Also, you have to be very careful about when or how they calculate savings. And that is a very big issue that you would be able to tell from looking at their next contract. And the second agreement, if the second agreement looks, quote, squirrely, unquote, you might not want to work with them. He has never heard of them, which is unusual because he works in multiple states, including Illinois. That's all I have.
Carolyn, may I ask you, and I'm not saying, it all sounds okay to me, but this person that you were in contact with, could you tell us a little bit more? I mean, I'm worried about the credibility of just saying, you know, this person said, is he, what are his credentials that would lead us to believe that he knows exactly?
Okay, well, he's an energy broker, works with other energy brokers. You know how this business is. It's like there's multiple layers of people doing deals. He worked on aggregation contracts with, I don't even know how many municipalities. He works with Constellation Energy, and you shouldn't hold this against him, but he is my brother-in-law, and he is also a very smart guy. He would not have any involvement in this at all. He's just sharing his expertise because I was looking at the contract and I know that it's a very specialized industry. So these are just tips that he had for us to consider, or for our attorney to consider.
Okay, thank you. Are you speaking into your microphone, John? Because I can't hear a word and you're right below me.
I wanted to know if squirrely was a purely technical term, but I wanted to ask Mike, you said their fees were based on savings that would be generated. Is that would only be if we actually did their...
Exactly.
Just
briefly,
what they recommend.
First of all, I can't answer or address all of the points that Carolyn brought up. I haven't talked to this person. This conversation's been going on for some time at committee, and I wish those things could have been there and people from SmartWatt could better address them. But the premise is, I'm sorry. I was looking for Ori and I didn't. We do have someone here from SmartWatt, but the way this works, and I try to oversimplify it, they'll do assessments in all of our buildings. They will come up with what they call projects. The projects may be change out all the light bulbs for LEDs. I'm only speaking to something I can relate to. The bottom line, they will present those projects to us. No commitment on our part. We can do any or all of them. And it'll be an assessment on what are the savings, what are the payback period, that sort of thing. And so, you know, we don't have to do anything. And there'll be some I think will be obvious. But at any rate, come up and, yeah, I apologize.
His name is Mike, I'm sorry, I can't talk tonight, I'm so to the end of the night. Mark Bishop, and he is with Energy Alliances, Inc. And I think that we could go forward with this on condition of attorney review. Might be a way of addressing the issues.
Has Randy, I don't know, has Randy seen? Randy has, hasn't he?
Randy on the phone? Yeah, no. Randy ain't here.
I'm Scott Fotroy with SmartLot. Okay, I can address some of your issues. Let's see, so we talked about the $12,500 fee. That actually gets waived. It's sort of like earnest money. So if you go with the investment grade audit, it's $12,500. If we go with the project after the audit, then it gets waived. Okay, so we're not double charging or double dipping. The savings are actually all of yours, and that's what's used to pay for the project. Okay, and then as far as the energy supply, SmartLot does not do energy supply, so we would not have any impact, have anything to do with your energy supply with your current supplier. Okay, and then let's see, there was another. As far as how long we've been around for 15 years. We're headquartered in New York, Albany, and pardon me, and we have offices in the Chicago area, Nashville, Las Vegas, which I haven't been to yet. I'm trying to get out there eventually. California, Washington, and Texas. So we got the corners covered.
And I would also add, they have done, I don't have it with me, they have done several projects in counties, primarily counties, in Illinois, as well as in the private sector.
Right. In fact, that's why Ori couldn't make it tonight. He was in Effingham County this evening.
Okay.
So,
And I don't think there's any time that you mentioned that they were going to be brokering the gas, electric, or anything. That was not in your presentation.
Not in our purview at all. We don't do that.
Okay, well, let's move it along. Okay, you're gonna need a roll call vote on
Got a
that.
motion and a second.
We got a motion and a second?
Yep.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fieri. Bunning.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
Steichen.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
Kestner.
Yes.
Ritter.
Yes.
Gerwin.
Abstain.
Lovell.
Yes.
Allen. Yes. Arbogast.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Carly. Yes. Holt.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Heath.
Yes.
Weber. Young.
Yes.
Yoder. Fannin.
Yes.
All I have, you.
Quickly, let's move on to Personnel Committee. Mrs. Arbogast, Chairwoman.
No report.
Great. We beat you, Jason. Veterans Committee, Mr. Steichen, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I thought we weren't supposed to have a no report. I thought it was one of the stipulations, but that's all right. The veterans are operating under budget, doing well. The vans are running well. They've had some personnel issues. Some people have voluntarily terminated their employment. They're in the process of hiring some new drivers. And right now, we're keeping our fingers crossed. The bills are down. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. IT, Mrs. Allen, Chairman.
I better turn on my mic.
Pardon?
I had to turn on my mic. We had our meeting, and John indicated that he had a couple of cameras go out at the jail. He said one camera was the PTZ camera, which was estimated at $2,000, but he was able to find a used one for $400 since the cameras are scheduled to be replaced. There's an ongoing issue with the cooling unit at the public safety complex. It seems like the cooling units are shutting down when the outdoor temperatures reach 28 degrees, and the server room got up to 92 degrees. He also reported that he is working on a cybersecurity training program that will be mandatory for employees. He stated that 4 counties had experienced issues recently, so he wants to make sure employees know what to look for. That ends my report.
Okay, thank you. Admin, no report. Livingston County Housing Authority, Mr. Slagle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had a meeting today. Just 2 things of note. We had a monopoly moment today, which is due to a bank error in our favor. We received $6,000. Apparently, they calculated the interest rate wrong on one of our CDs. Yes, so that was pretty cool. And then the other interesting thing is the environmental review, which they had talked to the county about, did get completed, and that lets the Chatsworth remodeling project, which is a $388,000 investment in the project in Chatsworth, is set to begin November 19th. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, does anyone in the public have anything they would like to say?
I do. There's a bunch of calendars and planning calendars here. If anybody's interested in them, help yourself.
Okay, thank
They're
you.
from different vendors.
Mrs. Gerwin.
For the record, I answered Mr. Kerner's questions that he posed online regarding the costs, and I told him where I got the data from. I don't know why he doesn't seem to know what the numbers mean. So I just wanted you guys to know that.
Who are you talking about?
Joseph Charles Kerner.
The self-styled gonzo blogger.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha. Okay, if there are no public comment, I'm going to ask to go into executive session, and you can all read the numbers. Can I have a motion to go into
Motion to go into executive
and a
session.
second by, is that Cart?
Pursuant to 5 ILCS 122.
Mr. No.
Yeah.
He's used to saying no.
Yeah.
Vieti.
Mays.
Mays. Okay.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Vieti. Bunning.
Yes.
Slagle.
Yes.
Ingalls.
Yes.
Steichen. Yes. Schaefer.
Yes.
Killian.
Yes.
Kestner. Ritter.
Yes.
Gerwin. Lovell.
Yes.
Allen. Arbogast. Yes. Weller.
He's starting to get off right now.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Carly.
Yes.
Holt.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Keith.
Yes.
Weber. Young.
Oh, yeah.
Yoder. Fannin.
Yes.